I was home alone with my older brother one summer night. I was 11 or 12, and it's been a long time since this happened now. My parents told me and my brother that they were visiting a friend and would be gone for the night. They entrusted my brother with me. He was 13 or 14 at the time. Our parents left at about 8 p.m., and then it was just us. Keep in mind, we lived in a one-story house with a kitchen, a living room, and 3 bedrooms. My brother slept in the bedroom closest to the living room, meaning he was closest to the front door, and I slept in the room farthest from it. When my parents left, me and my brother went to the living room and started up our Xbox. We took out our controllers and started playing some video games. At some point, I would say around 9:30, it started to rain, and I got bored. I left my brother to play some video games by himself and went back to my room and turned on my tablet to watch some videos with my headphones in. As I was doing that, I suddenly heard some rustling and what I thought were footsteps somewhere outside my window. I didn't mind. I assumed it was the wind. To keep in mind, my house has a pathway with a gate cutting from the front lawn all the way to the backyard, and it passes by my window. I heard a squeak, and then through the pouring rain, I heard our gate creak open, then thud lightly against the garbage cans right next to it. It was loud enough for me to hear through my headphones, which caused me to pause the video and listen closer. Footsteps sounded on the pathway going to the back door, and that's when I freaked out. I threw my headphones on the bed and dropped my tablet. Then I sprinted towards the back door and locked it just as soon as the person tried the handle. The blinds on the door were closed, so I couldn't see the person clearly, but I saw the shadowy figure of a man facing the door. I backed away slowly and reached my brother in the living room. I whispered to him to get his attention, and I asked him if he had heard what I did. He paused the game and stared at me bewildered. "No," he said. I took a deep breath before responding. "There's a man at the back door," I said. Then I asked him if he had locked the doors. He nervously glanced at the kitchen door before whispering that no, he didn't. But before I could run into the kitchen and lock the door, I heard the dreaded footsteps headed towards it. I wouldn't be able to lock it on time, so I told my brother to follow me, and we ran terrified into our parents' bedroom and went into their closet. We locked both their bedroom door and the closet door. I heard the terrifying sound of the kitchen door opening, and the pouring rain got even louder. My brother whispered to me that he was going to call 911 and opened his phone and dialed. He reached the operator. As he explained the situation quietly, I heard the intruder stomping around the house, opening doors and closets until he reached our parents' room. He tried the handle but realized it was locked. Then we heard him chuckle. "I know you're in there," he said in this hollow, raspy voice that sent shivers down my spine as I heard it. In the dark, I saw the terrified gleam from my brother's eyes as the intruder began pounding on the door, letting out screams as he did so, making it even worse. It made me feel sick. The intruder then stopped, and it was suddenly so silent that I could feel the tension in the air. Me and my brother waited until the sounds of police sirens were audible, and it sounded like music to my ears. The police pounded on the front door, but when they realized it was locked, they broke the door down and did a thorough sweep of the house. One of them comforted us and told us to call our parents to come home. When they left, they told us to call again if anything else happened since the intruder had escaped. Luckily, the intruder didn't come back, but those terrifying moments when the intruder pounded on the door and screamed nonsense will forever haunt me. This story happened when I was a freshman in high school. Back then, I used to ride to school every day on the bus and then take it home. I would usually be home by myself for a few hours until my parents got home from work. One day I got dropped off the same as always and walked to my house. I got to the front door and put the key in, only to realize that it was already unlocked. I found this strange because it was usually always locked when I got home. We lived in a decently busy area, so we were always sure to lock our doors. As a high school kid, I got a little concerned from seeing this, but I figured one of my parents just forgot to lock it. I went inside. When I did, I got a slightly bad feeling. It was very quiet, and I slowly looked around the room. Everything looked normal and in place. I then thought I heard a noise of someone walking upstairs, but it was really hard to tell. It gave me a shiver down my spine, and I paused to listen more closely. When I did, I heard no more noises. The noises that I had heard were so brief and quiet that I figured I had to be just paranoid. I locked the doors and went into the kitchen. I made some pizza rolls and then went up to my room, which was upstairs, and watched some YouTube videos in my bed. After a few minutes of doing that, I got really tired and fell asleep. I woke up about 30 minutes later. When I did, I went back to watching YouTube until I heard the sound of my parents getting home a short time later. I then went downstairs and helped them unpack groceries that they had gotten. I was talking to my mom when I heard my dad shout from upstairs. He came down and said that my parents' bedroom was all messed up, as if someone had torn through it. We all went upstairs to find the room was a complete mess. It was then that I remembered everything and told my parents about the door being left unlocked. They told me when they got home that I had left the door unlocked as well, but I know I had locked it. The police were called and came over to search the house. Nobody was found, but my parents did have several valuables stolen. I realized that I was most likely home with the intruder in the house and had taken a nap with them, probably in the next room. It gave me the chills, and I'm very lucky that I didn't decide to look in my parents' room. This happened when I was 13 years old. I was home alone and minding my own business when I heard my little brother start crying. He had a room in the basement at the time, so I walked downstairs to check on him and see if he was all right. When I got inside his room, I saw that he was holding his head and said to me that someone had pulled him out of his bed. Before I could ask him more details, I turned around and saw a man run past the doorway and up the stairs. I couldn't make out any details of him, but I ran and called the police. Thankfully, the man had left our house, and the police got there a short time later. They spoke to my brother and me about what had happened, and we told them what we could. A few months later, we were told that the man had been caught. It was a huge relief to hear that, but then we heard some details that were really creepy. He had been caught while at the window of a house, and when the police searched the man's home, they found a secret room, which he had filled with images and computer cameras of various rooms. Some of them were on the inside of our house. When I was a kid, my parents used to go out of town for business all the time. I used to have to stay at my aunt's house when they were gone. But when I turned 13, my parents finally trusted me enough to stay home by myself. I was excited for this because I felt like I was being an adult living by myself for 3 days. My parents went over everything I needed and told me to lock all the doors and windows. When my parents left, I mainly watched TV and played video games. It was a Friday night, so I stayed up pretty late, and at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I finally got sleepy and decided to go to bed. I went around the house making sure every window and door was locked, and then all the windows with blinds and shades I covered. Then I got ready for bed and turned out all the lights. I got in bed, closed my eyes, and tried to fall asleep. I was laying there for maybe 2 or 3 minutes when I heard the sound of a car slowly driving down our street. We lived in a very quiet neighborhood, and we were at the end of a street, so we didn't get much traffic often. I kept my eyes closed until I heard the car seemingly stop directly in front of our house. I heard the engine idling but didn't hear the sound of a door opening or anything. After about a minute of this, I got curious, so I carefully raised my blinds and looked out. I could see there was a pickup truck parked right in front of our mailbox, just sitting there with the engine running. I didn't recognize the truck, and I stayed watching it for a little while. Finally, I saw the door open and a man get out. He walked around the truck towards my yard. Our yard was pretty big. In fact, it was about 5 acres, and most of it was just woods that went from the side of our house all the way to the back and beyond our property. The man paced around a little bit, halfway in the street and halfway in our driveway. He seemed to be looking around. And then, out of nowhere, he just walked into the side of my yard and into the woods. I started freaking out inside and wanted to call my parents, but with it being nearly 3 o'clock in the morning, I knew they would be sleeping. I considered the police, but I also thought maybe the man had a logical explanation. I feared the man was going to try to break into our house or something, though. I got up and once again checked every door and window to make sure that it was locked. I then turned on every light in the house to make it look like there were people home. After that, I went back up to my room and locked the door. I peeked out of the window again. When I did, after just about 30 seconds, I heard noises coming from the woods. I was very careful to not let myself be seen from the window. I saw the man come out of the woods. He jogged towards his truck and got inside. Then the truck sped off rather fast. So fast, in fact, that I heard skid marks as it drove away. I was left with many questions. It took me a long time to fall asleep, and the rest of the weekend I was on edge. I'm happy to say that the man never came back, but I still wonder to this day what he was doing. Back in Romania, it was a school day, and I had to get prepared. I and my family lived in an apartment, and my room had a faded glass door. You can still see through it, but it's blurry. I was changing into nice clothes, and my mom was out of the apartment. I don't remember exactly where she was, but I was all alone at the time. And so, as I was changing, I looked at my door and saw a white thing pass my room. Immediately, my chest felt like it was being poked with a spike, and my heart was pounding really fast. I called my mom and told her about it, but she just told me it was because of all the video games I'm playing. But I've never had nightmares from those games or anything related to that. I hung up and went to investigate. I checked everywhere and saw nothing. I'm very sure that I saw something, and it even scares me to this day. I did some research and no one died in the apartment or anything, but I still don't have any explanation for what happened.